Hi, welcome to your third lesson of calisthenics. So today we're going to focus on something that I wish I would have known this when I first started. And that is going to be core stability. I'm also going to briefly go over core compression because we're going to be starting L-sit basics today. So what exactly is your core? Now, a lot of people think core and they're like, yeah, right here, like your abs. While that muscle, the rectus abdominis, is a part of your core, there's actually 35 pairs of muscles that make up your entire core. And what I want to specifically talk about today is the deep core. Now, the deep core is going to be made out of your diaphragm, which is a breathing muscle. It helps you breathe. The transverse abdominis, the multifidus, and there's a few pelvic floor muscles. Core surrounds your spine, and it's going to help with things like stability, posture, and even balance. What I'm going to talk about with the deep core is breathing. Diaphragmatic breathing. Now, we take over 20,000 breaths a day. If those breaths are going up into our chest, then those muscles in the chest and neck are helping us breathe, and they're never getting a break. Instead, we want to bring our breaths back into our stomach. That's actually how we naturally breathe. Why is this important in calisthenics? L-sit, for example. In an L-sit, if we know how to properly engage our deep core, that means our pelvis is going to be tucked in, so our hips aren't going to sag, our legs are going to feel so much lighter than what they actually are, and the L-sit is just going to be so much easier. And honestly, I really haven't seen many people talk about diaphragmatic breathing in the L-sit. So this is gonna put you ahead of the game. Let's get into it. So go ahead and lay down on your back in the supine position. First, we're going to see if you're a chest breather or if you're already a diaphragmatic breather. So place one hand on your chest and one hand on your stomach. Take a deep breath in and see where it goes. You'll want your bottom hand to rise like this. Now, if your top hand was the only one that rise, then you are a chest breather. But we can fix that. Let's bring it back to the belly. Back down on your back, and what I want you to think about doing is breathing in and letting your top hand rise. So breathe in through your nose. And think about that breath going into your belly like this. And then when you breathe out, pull it down. Pull that breath in like this. Watch my stomach again. And then pull it in. It helps if you breathe out through your mouth like this. And pull it in. Okay? So let's practice that 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, guys. That is the first way to activate your deep core. So now that we know how to activate it, let's get into strengthening the deep core. Again, lay back down on your back. Now, this is the simplest movement that I am aware of. It's going to be called a pelvic tilt, a posterior pelvic tilt, meaning turning your pelvis back. So we want to connect the breathing with it. So watch this. Breathe in, breathe out, and rotate those hips back. Think about your belly button going towards your spine. Watch me do it again. If you stick your hand under your back, you should feel your back push your hand down. Okay, it should not be going this way. There should be no air, no space under there. Okay, let's go for 5 pelvic tilts with the breathing. 1, 2, 3, 4, one more, 5. Nice. All right, guys, now let's get into a little bit more of an advanced strengthening exercise. It's called the bird dog. Now, you might have seen these online before, but you want to make sure you have that pelvic tilt, the one we just did, engaged. So you're going to be on your back still, and you're going to extend the opposite leg with the opposite arm, keeping that tilt. You don't want any air there. That's just, you're really not going to have a good engagement in the core, and it's putting more pressure on your lower back. So like this, okay? This is what you want. And we're going to go for 5 on each leg, okay? 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. Keep that tilt. 4, 4, 5, 5. All right, guys, I would recommend doing the diaphragmatic breathing, the pelvic tilts, and the dead bugs. I would go for about 10 pelvic tilts. No, I would do 20 pelvic tilts a day. I would do 2 sets of 10 dead bugs a day and 3 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing. I would do that as long as, until you feel like it's easier, until all of that becomes easier, then you can move on to the next step. All right, guys, now we're going to get into core compression. Core compression is so important for skills like the L-sit and press to handstands. Okay, guys, the first drill for core compression, I want you to keep your arms straight like this. Your fingers can kind of grip the floor like this, and you're going to have a nice high chest, but don't arch that lower back. Keep that pelvic tilt engaged, and you're going to lift your legs up like this. Okay? Now, things you want to watch out for are leaning back. It's kind of defeating the purpose of core compression. All right, guys. Let's keep everything nice and tight, and let's go for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Lastly, I'm going to progress this into an L-sit, and I want to show you how you can do the diaphragmatic breathing into the L-sit. So if you have some pirouette, it's awesome. If not, you can do this on the floor. All right, guys, remember that diaphragmatic breathing. So what I want you to do is think about breathing into your stomach. So I'm going to show you. So breathe in, breathe out, pull that stomach in, and lift up like this. Breathe out, and you're holding it. Okay? You can also do this on the floor. That'll look like, but for the floor, I would cross your legs like this. It'll be a little bit easier. Or you can go up on something like a countertop or a stair to give you a little bit more leverage. That's going to look like this. If you're using the floor or the bars, let's go ahead and go for 5. Breathe into your stomach and let it rise. And then pull your stomach in and lift. Here we go. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lift. We're holding it for about 3 seconds. We got 4 more. 2. Breathe in. Breathe out. 3. 4. 1 more, guys. And guys, absolutely fantastic. I'm going to leave it right there today. And as we get into more of the series, we'll start doing full L-sits. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching Lesson 3. And make sure you're subscribed for Lesson 4. We're going to do legs. All right, guys. See you later.